Hello everyone. This time I will introduce the operation instructions for the security policy. This session will mainly focus on the outgoing part. Let's get started. Here we will first explain the settings for the outgoing rules. The upper part is basic settings, which are the required fields. The first one is policy name, to allow administrators to customize names. Source interface. This item is used to define the source interface. Assign gateway, to assign a designated gateway for this rule. Network address translation. This item has routing and NAT mode. If using NAT mode, you can define which IP address to redirect to, while in routing mode, it will only set directly using the routing method. Protocol. You can choose the protocol like TCP, UDP, or ICMP. Source. To define the source IP or subnet for the rule. Destination. To define the destination IP or subnet for the rule. SRC service group, to define the source port. If you keep to user defined, it means any port can be allowed. Usually we keep this set to user defined and do not specify a source port because the source port is random when you build a connection. DST service group, to define the destination port. If you keep to user defined, it means any port can be allowed. Action. To define this rule is permit or drop. If you click policy, these options will expand below. These are control items and you can choose whether to apply them. If you click firewall protection, and it will explain the firewall protection options below, allowing you to choose whether to enable the protection. Next, there will be a demonstration of the outgoing settings. The status is I have a LAN interface with two subnets. The first one is .1.0/24 and the other is .88.0/24. When one has an internet accessible IP address of 192.168.186.87 and it is configured as the designated gateway. And the requirements are these. The first one is all network segments of the LAN must be able to access the internet. The second is internal IP address .1.100 is not allowed to connect to external port 80. The last one is .1.0/24 is allowed to connect to .88.0/24. Lastly, the question about how can I adjust the rule order to meet all the requirements. The below is outgoing setup steps. The first 4 steps is the basic settings for the security policy regulations, and this part must be configured. The step 5 policy is optional field. It allows administrators to decide whether to apply controls objects to the rules, such as bandwidth control or application control. Even if no control objects are applied, the rule will still be effective. Step 6 is the firewall protection settings. This is where you check whether to enable the firewall protections feature. It is optional, and the rule will still be effective even if the protection feature is not enabled. Next, we will proceed with the configure demonstration. The first requirement is all network segments of the LAN must be able to access the internet. The first step is name the rule and select the source interface. So first, you can name it freely, and you can set a name that clearly identifies the purpose of the rule. And then you can choose your source interface of the rule. The second step is set up source and destination IP address and ports. And I have break down the second step into 3 steps. First step is if the IP is not set in the address object, you can also click Change to Define to manually enter the IP address or subnet. According to the requirements, I have set the source, destination, and the destination port to any. And then you can check it in step 1 to 3. The third step is assign gateway and set up network address translation. I've break down third step into 3 steps. If you choose a native mode in second step, you can select which IP address to redirect from the drop-down menu in the third step. Step 4. This is the final step of the basic settings. We will set the action to allow. Permit. Step 5. If you click on policy, it will expand the following options. Since this rule is only for internet access, I have not applied any control objects in the policy. Step 6. Click Firewall Protection Settings. According to these requirements, I do not need to check any firewall protection settings. Then we finish the first requirement. all network segments of the LAN must be able to access the internet. So after the setup is complete, the rule will look like this. It will have an designated gateway icon and an SRC icon. When you hover the mouse pointer over the icon, you can see the tip contents display, such as using the main gateway 186 and the IP address being redirected to 192.168.186.87. For the first requirement, we only set the step 1 to 4. Steps 5 and 6 we will not set it. Next is the second requirement. Since many steps are similar to the first requirement, I will not explain each one in detail. I will explain the step which need more attention. I will enclose each major step in a frame and label it above for easy reference. For example, step 1 will be labeled as step 1. The second requirement is to block the internal IP address .1.100 from accessing the external port 80. So this requirement is denied. So I don't need to set up the step 3 because we don't need to assign any gateway for it. So I can just ignore it. And please note that in the fourth step, the action should be set up to drop. I will not apply the settings in the fifth and the sixth steps. I just skip it. And when you finish the setting, the drop rule is shown like this. It will have a stop icon on it. So to finish this requirement, we just need to do the step 1, 2, and 4. The third requirement is the subnet .1.0/24 is allowed to connect to .88.0/24. I will not explain each step here, as they are similar with first requirements. Please note that in the third step, since the requirement is internal to internal and both subnets are on NU, we can just use default routing, and the NU will route according to the route table. When you finish the settings, it will show like this. Since it is a default routing, so it will not show the designated gateway icon, and so does the SRC icon. When we set up the third requirement, we just need to do step 1 to 4. We have just completed all the requirements, but the rule actually passes on the first one because it is set to any, which cannot simultaneously meet all the requirements. Then, how to adjust the order if all requirements are to be met? It is suggested to move the rule with more restrictions forward. If I block .1.100, I need to make it able to connect to .88.0/24 first. So I will move the third requirements rule forward to the first one order. The rule of block .1.100 connects to the external port 80. I will just keep it in the second order. The rule any to any, I will move it to the third order. In this way, all requirements can be met when all three rules exist. The above is an instructions to the operation instructions of outgoing security policy. Thank you for your listening.